Hello, you wrong'un. Hello, YouTubers. Hello, world. A quickie tonight before we go live tomorrow. The voting looks like, and I'll announce it at the beginning of the live, that we're going to do it at 8 o'clock. That seems to be the preferred option. Nearly a few hundred votes, and out of that, nearly 50% have voted for the 8 o'clock time slot, and then the 9 o'clock time slot was second, and then the 7 o'clock time slot. So tomorrow night, Wednesday, 8th of February, we're going live, starting at 8. Who knows how long it'll last, but tonight, so please be there. If you can, it'll be recorded, and it'll be up on the channel for you to view if you're away on holiday. Chalky white, you're wrong. Or if you're working or you've got other stuff on. But please, if you can, try and make it. We're going to cover a lot of subjects tomorrow night if we can. Some of the stuff that's bubbling around in the news reportage at the moment. We might have a little Belfield. Also, to kind of keep you up to speed with things, we've been working today on some of the comedy stuff that I used to do on air. Now, I'm not suggesting to you that I'm a comedian by any stretch of the imagination. I am a broadcaster. I'm a presenter that sometimes cracks a funny. And some of them are quite outrageous and gold. So we've been working on those today. Videos will be coming soon on this channel. I'll let you know when they happen. Some of the stuff from, blimey, Real Radio and Century Radio networked across the North East, North West and East Midlands. And just stuff. Just very, very funny stuff. And if you've got a copy of my Top Man tapes, a CD I put out about 20 years ago, then you may know some of it. But some of it is very, if I may be so bold, very, very, very funny. So let's get to some of your comments, because you know I like reading your comments. It's interesting how when I do a video about the convicted stalker and thief, it's amazing the response that they get. It's very black and white. People say that I'm obsessed. No. How can I be obsessed with somebody I had a friendship for a few years? Somebody I actually tried to justify their comment by saying, well, I met Alex twice. Whoopie fucking do. I've known young Alex, and I call him young Alex because he was 17 when I first met him, and I saved his bacon on more than a few occasions. I've already put those in videos. So if you're first to the channel, thank you. If you've not, if this is the first video you've seen on the channel, thank you again. But go and view some of the others from some of the early stuff. It's got some interesting detail in there for you. So Andy Sinsky, hi Andy. Adrian, great last video. I'm looking forward to listening to your radio rants. We've been working on those today, Andy. As a listener to your Century shows, you made me howl with laughter, and back then, surprised by your content. You'll be even more surprised by some of the videos we're going to put up on here. Your phrase, scum sucking pond life, was and is so apt. You also introduced me to the then banned book about a certain prominent member of the royal family, that'll be Prince Philip then, and a possible illegitimate child in, I think it was South America. Yeah, Prince Philip. It's in the book by Kitty Kelly, Royals. I did have a look for it in my archive earlier, and I think I've put it away because I've read it numerous times. Great channel, mate. Cheers, Andy. Thank you very much. To Peter D. Adrian, Belfield deserves everything he got, but it isn't up to the judge to decide whether the CPS or the Attorney General should make any application to advance any argument that the original sentence was unduly lenient. Belfield can, should he choose to waste his money on a full hearing, but there is no clamour to demand an increase in his original sentence, and that has been made clear. I think it was it the Solicitor General who, and I'm paraphrasing here, he said that the judge got it wrong in one of the sentences, and that was the Bernie Keith sentence. He should have actually given him a greater tariff. But if the convicted stalker decides to go to an appeal in front of a full panel of 3 judges, then that will be taken into consideration. So there is every chance that his sentence could be extended. Would he really be that foolish? Adam Cole, thank you, Adam. Enjoying the channel, Adrian. You talk a lot about Alan Robson. Or the Flushing Blade. Did you ever know Tom Davies at TFM? Turned out to be a wrong un, but he was great in his day on air. Any memories? Yeah. Not that I would align myself with a man that had kiddie porn on his computer. That's why he killed himself. He was at court. He told the court that he had images of child abuse on his, or paedophilic images on his computer because he was making a documentary. Went home and killed himself. Do I know Tom? I went to the same school as Tom, bizarrely. And yes, I've known Tom in lots of different guises, whether he was a music presenter or whether he was doing late night phone-ins. Yes, of course, I know Tom. I'd known Tom for a long time. TFM, he had a great phone-in on TFM. To give him all of his due, he was very successful at it. It was just very sad at how his life ended. Sea Moon Maria, hello Adrian. My boyfriend, who happens to be named Paul, just played me Sea Moon, as in the letter C, Charlie, Sea Moon, by McCartney. I get it now why you asked me if I was a Paul McCartney fan. But the name Sea Moon is S-E-A, sea, as in the big expanse of water off the coast. Doesn't come from that song. It comes from the name given to the seas of the moon, and they're called Marias. Blimey, Sea Moon Maria, every day's a school day. Didn't know that. Thank you for the explanation. Love it, love it, love it. John Grant, Adrian. At this rate, the limp-wrist Belfield is never going to get out of the state hotels. Still, he had a whale of a time flying first class to America, so he can't complain about getting his reward in full before he was sent down. He might as well stay inside for the rest of his natural, because he'll get no state pension if he is released, because he won't have put enough years of work in, unlike the rest of us. Serves him right for being a lying, cheating, bastard brown hatter. Thank you, John. Rusty Mouse. Will this be trial by jury? No, let me explain. At the beginning of March, he's got 10 SPOs. The police are taking Alex Belfield back to court, magistrates court, for 2 days, and they are requesting SPOs, stalking prevention orders. Now, how stringent they're going to be, I'm not sure. I am looking at my diary to see whether I can go to, I think it's not, is it Nottinghamshire? Apologies. Nottingham Magistrates Court, unsure. But he's back 7th and 8th of March. So it'll be interesting how that transpires. Not a trial by jury, Rusty Mouse. He's just going back to the Magistrates Court to face 10 stalking prevention orders. Chocolate Frenzy. Adrian, I have to say, I really like your channel. You come across as a good man and you are very entertaining. Oh, I think you're going a bit far there, Chocolate Frenzy. I may not be entertaining, but I'm definitely cheap. I'm so glad you are here. Sorry you have the trolls at it on here, but it gives us something to laugh at, I suppose. I don't take it to heart at all. And if somebody does make a, in commerce now, they call it feedback. If they give you some decent feedback, then I'll look at it, tackle it and sort it. But if somebody, I can tell who the bots are. You can easily tell who the bots are because they'll either use 1, 2 or 3 words. That's it. And if someone's intelligent and they want to engage me, please engage me in the comments. You can do that to this video. I'd love you to. But 1 word, 2 word, 3 words, they're not even human. To S. Adrian, Alex Belfield is an absolute bar steward, and when I started to raise concerns on his channel, his followers, all as thick as mince, didn't want to know. I hope he stays in prison for 5+ years. The Motorcycle Restorer. Looking forward to your future videos, Adrian. just like back in the 90s when I was taxi driving and I went to work knowing your show was on Century. Your shows were amazing. And those of us who listened back then know whose catchphrases Belfield stole. Keep going, mate. There's a lot of us that are so glad you're back entertaining us. The good news is, motorcycle restorer, blimey, I can't speak tonight. I'm not sure what's going on. We're looking at podcasting. Because those that ever heard me on Talk 107, I did the breakfast show, weekend breakfast show on Talk 107. It's 3 hours long, and I did it all off the cuff. You know me. I'm always one for off the cuff. So we're looking at podcasting. We're looking at some of these videos, because some people actually go walk the dog. Hi, Jono. They'll go and, I don't know, do some gym or do something else for maybe 20 minutes or half an hour, and they'll listen to this rather than look at my ugly fizzog. So it's all welcome. We're looking at podcasting. We're looking at this. We're looking at short form videos. That's why we've, the team, have been looking at some stuff today. I've got a huge archive, some of it better quality than others, but it's all going to become very clear soon. Paul, Butterfield, Adrian, Alex should take the advice, but he won't. Because he thinks he knows best. If brains were dynamite, Alex wouldn't have enough to blow his nose. From Steve. Thank you, Paul. From Steve. Adrian, I think Alex is playing a very dangerous game here. If his original sentence is changed and he is given a suspended sentence with extended license conditions, and he is then locked up for a new index offence, the custody element for his original offence will be activated, together with any new sentence for the new offence. Given that he may very well be investigated for offences of dishonesty, fraud by misrepresentation, and say he's been released following appeal, and his original sentence is changed, the moment he is charged, the probation service will have no option but to recall him to custody for the full tariff. He will then be produced at court at a later date, and additional time may be very well added for any new convictions. Now, white-collar offences can attract quite significant periods of imprisonment. I therefore feel he's playing a very dangerous game. Thank you, Steve. Sean Obese. Really? Adrian, where's his dog? If he's got a partner, he'll have it. Right? I have to say, when I first saw his videos, I did assume he was good as you. Of course, you shouldn't assume. And in this day and age, the vast majority of the population couldn't give a monkey's either way. I agree with you. And I would fit that mindset, but his campness, coupled with the fact that he didn't seem to protest it too much, sometimes, was always going to lead to that conclusion for a lot of people. If he's a trisexual, what's that? Try anything. Or a full-blown woolly, not sure what that is, and he wants to be open about that, then nobody cares. Not really. Perhaps the odd knuckle-dragger or religious zealot or some upper-class stuffed shirt, conservative prude, who almost certainly is a satanized Satan lizard who does things to minors to extract eye-blackening elixir from them before murdering them. I've heard that. On the flip side, whatever his romantic preference may be, he nor anyone else are obliged to discuss that to anyone. I agree. He could just not bring it under scrutiny. Privacy is a right, or at least it still is for now. Ooh, deep, Shauna. And I agree with you. I find it very sad that he threw it into the mix, threw that particular hat into the ring, just as he was about to be sentenced for leniency. But he didn't give evidence. He didn't take the stand. Because if he'd been clever enough and he'd taken to the stand, then obviously under cross-examination that would have come out. It might have helped in the sentencing. Who knows? But Do you not wonder why he didn't take to the stand? Do you never wonder why he didn't defend himself on the stand? He didn't really defend himself with a legal team. He told the court he didn't have the money to be able to afford representation. He told the judge and the court that fact. And there's 290 odd grand sitting in a bank account for champagne sippers. Do you think that he's saving that for the civil cases of defamation? PJCnet. So, only a bid for leave to appeal in front of one judge was refused, and he can renew the application to have an appeal before a full court, before a full panel of 3. Nice try, Alex. But any judge would be wrong to release him with such serious convictions. I agree. He should get his head down and serve his sentence. He's a fool if he appeals, because he'll probably get considerably longer due to the error of judgment. PJCnet, we're going to have to wait and see how this unravels. But unravel it will. Some people have been saying that he's only got 2 weeks to appeal that and ask for it to be progressed to a full panel. That 2 weeks should be up by the end of this week. Theo, the Bovril. Well, Adrian, Alex has almost completed a fifth of his sentence already, so he might just as well settle down and do his stint. Unless he gets more, of course. Brian Clark. Adrian, I did 23 years in prison, but not as a convict, but as an officer. And I agree. It is tough in there. As for Frankie Fraser being a gentleman, ? All I can do is ask one of my colleagues what he thinks of the man who bit a lump of flesh out of his side during a fracas. The man specialised in starting riots in prisons. He did mellow towards the end of his sentence. He came to Norwich prison, and being a London gangster in a county yokel prison, he was totally and utterly out of his depth. I was a hospital officer there, and he came into our treatment room complaining of a cold sore on his lip. My country yokel officer friend, who did not know Frankie, asked him, "Have you been kissing the officers again?" Oi. He said that to Frankie Fraser. I cringed and wondered how Frankie would respond to that. Would you believe it? He just chuckled. He would not have done that in the old days, I can assure you. He was sentenced initially to 14 years, but ended up doing 20 for bad behaviour. That's definitely Frankie. I told the story of back in the day, the bad lads were all writing books about their life stories. And people like Dave Courtney and Frankie Fraser and Lenny McLean came into Liberty 963 just to, give it a bit of radio promotion while I was working there, interviewed some of them. And Frankie was a gentleman to me. I mean, he was pushing his book, so it was all about sales. But he was very much old school, definitely, but very much a gentleman. Very much. Thank you for that, Brian. Great story. Peter Gurney. Peter! Adrian, remind me, who was it that very unprofessionally walked out of the live studio on a Wednesday afternoon in Nottingham in a Mardy strop, leaving young Alex and David Lloyd to hold the baby? Blimey, Peter. You've got some memory. Were you listening? So did you hear what I said on air? Because there is a story behind that. David Lloyd wasn't even at the radio station. He'd left months before. It was run by Capital at that point when I walked out. Different managing director. David Lloyd wasn't there. So your memory might be a little skewed. Wednesday afternoon. Alex was through the glass. He was working for me on that particular day. And when I walked out, because there was a specific reason why I walked out, Alex chased after me, minced out of the car park after me. Now, the reason why I left Century 106, you said in a Mardy strop, I think you'll find it wasn't. I think you'll find it was very specific, and I was frustrated at a particular lack of action. So, Peter, people in glass houses shouldn't be chucking stones, mate. But I have been in touch with, the reason for me walking out was Alex Belfield. And I've spoken to some of the other people at Century 106 at the time. And we're going to make a video about it. Now, the reason why it hasn't been done is because I've told you before, I'm not very good at editing videos. And it's got to be quite an involved video because it needs to be very specific. I'm not saying anything more than that, but I will tell you this, it is coming. And I have to be sensitive to other people's needs, not Alex Belfield's, because I now know what he did. Because I've spoken to people that I hadn't spoken to in 20 odd years. And when they told me their story, knowing what I know, my chin hit the floor. Because then I sussed what the convicted stalker was up to. And you know, doing these videos and having interaction and engagement with people who leave me comments, it's like putting a big jigsaw puzzle together. And as I've quoted on a couple of occasions now, Anna Breen told me he looked up to you, Adrian. Yeah, I know he did. But he also injected me with a poison. Just telling you. So, Peter, it's coming. And be a gentleman. Apologise. Because when you see the video, I'm sure you will be compelled to apologise for your words. As a gentleman, because gentlemen do. But if you're not a gentleman, are you a caring, understanding 90s type, Peter? Sean81, Adrian, I don't know you, never met you, but in my opinion, when you were in South Wales, you blew late night talk out of the water. Hope some of those tapes will find their way back. We were listening to something called Fake or Real. And there's been a lot of broadcasters in the UK who wanted to be Howard Stern. They wanted to be so far out on the edge. They wanted to be Howard Stern. Chris Moyles, Chris Evans, they all wanted to be Howard Stern. Now, I've said this before, I'm not going to blow my own trumpet. I'd have to have 3 vertebrae removed to be able to do that. But I did something in South Wales called Fake or Real. Remember the scene from the film When Harry Met Sally? Of course you do. Meg Ryan and her asthma attack. We played that live on the first birthday of Real Radio in South Wales. And I still have the audio. And we were listening to it today. Whew. I mean, it's so far out there, but this is 20 years ago. We're going to make a video. We're going to let you hear the audio. There's loads of stuff that I want you to hear because you'll get, it's pointless me saying, oh, I did this and I did this and I did that there. I'll just let the evidence speak for itself. You can hear it soon. I might, if I can technically work out how to, stick it on the live tomorrow night. It'll make your hair curl. Finally, Andrew Wilson. Adrian, if you think you're as good as Alex, why didn't you set up this account when Alex was big on YouTube? Look, for a year before, I thought about doing my own channel because I had lots and lots and lots of people at me. Adrian, why don't you do what you used to do on the radio, on YouTube? And I was like, no, I work full time. I work a very pressured job. So, no. And then I started speaking to some other old friends who said, oh, have you heard about young Alex Belfield? No. So I did my research. And people were saying to me, he's nicking your lines. Quote, he's nicking your lines. So I had to do a little research. And then when I found out the court date, I was torn between doing a video about my take, working in the Harrods organisation. I was running Mohammed Al Fayed's radio station, Liberty 963, in London, on the Brompton Road, opposite Harrods, up on the 6th floor, I think it was, if I remember correctly. Blimey, there was Fulham Football Club, there was Punch the Magazine, and there was us. And I'll tell you one day the story about Kevin Keegan. Because him and Arthur Cox were managing Fulham at the time. I I've got loads of stories, if I can remember them. So I was going to do a video and launch the channel in August, on the 25th anniversary of when Diana died. And again, I need to be very specific about what I say in that video for very, very obvious reasons. Boston brake technique. So that's why I just took the opportunity. I've known Alex since he was 17 years old. So why shouldn't I? I haven't stolen any of his catchphrases. I haven't copied anything to do with him. I haven't copied anything to do with the voice of reason. I mean, I did think about calling it the new voice of reason, because originally I was the voice of reason that he nicked it from. And do you know that publicity shot? The one in the black background, where he's pointing his finger? Have a guess where he got that from. Go and look at my picture icon thing on this channel. I'm going to do a video about that. So less of me saying this. I'm just going to give you the evidence. And if you're so dim, like a 40-watt light bulb, that it doesn't make any sense to you, then that's about you. So, Andrew, you waited, as Andrew says, you waited for him to go to jail, then set up your account as you knew his content would wipe the floor with you. How can his content wipe the floor with me? Mate, in the words of the great Chinese philosopher, fuck off. My name's Adrian Allen. Don't forget to ding the bell. There's more coming. Live tomorrow night if you can be there. And thank you for your likes, your subscriptions, but most of all, your indulgence. My name's Adrian Allen. Looking forward to doing the live tomorrow night. Let's see how that transpires. And I'll see you in the next video.